Good morning everyone, Susie here from Minnesota, and I garden in the zone 4B. It is the end of June and I'm taking on a tour of my cottage garden and backyard. And my cottage garden faces northeast kinda over here, and then my backyard is east. This is where I sit in the morning. Just love this view. We did have some rain, but it's just enough to settle the dust. But that's okay. It's supposed to be 90 degrees, so I think the humidity is going to be there, which is good. Otherwise, yesterday we were so windy, 90, and it just dried everything up. Hasn't been horribly humid yet, which I kind of like the humidity just to help keep that moisture, and it helps the plants. Still love the grasses. My delphiniums still look pretty good. I'm going to have to get in there and deadhead. I'm going to try and give you some longer shots of my gardens. Climbing rose is starting to go over. It will continue to bloom throughout the season. Like this one right here, I just have to tie it in. It's got lots of buds forming. I just wanted to show you this real quick. Look, it's starting to form its buds. So excited. This is always the first one to bloom for me, and then the rest come, but oh, love it. Shasta Daisy down here, Snow Lady. I think everything looks really pretty with rain on it. I did cut my columbine back in here, planted it with some Texas sage, snow nymph, and coral nymph. Just an annual. I'm hoping the columbine flushes out with some growth. Not expecting much in blooms, but just kind of filling that area. Purple Sensation alliums are staying until they just all flop over. Cleaned up the yucky foliage so it looks much better. These Veronica here are all seeds I started last year. It's a sightseeing mixture. Aren't they beautiful? The roses look wonderful. Also easy double red. Just glistens, doesn't it? The rain. I was hoping we got more. Just wanted to show you this, in case if I don't get to a container tour. This is my 4th of July container, and I absolutely love it. Look at the Orlea. Is that not beautiful? And then this is Fairy Queen Sylvia. And then this is more of a burgundy purple, so that's just kind of my take on red. I did have some Dusty Miller just in case if the Orlea wasn't blooming. It looked tough when I planted it, and it does say it doesn't like to be transplanted well. Well, it loves it. I do have to deadhead on it because it is a cut flower. If I don't, it will go to seed. But I love that. Oh. This is just it's called Purple Pavement Rose, just a shrub rose. It does go over really quick, but the scent is very strong. The bees love it. I like it too. It's an easy rose, but it's not like a wow, visually appealing rose. But that scent is beautiful. Down here, I just have a container of Ajuga Fancy Finch Feathered Friends. I moved from my Misfit garden, which I will show you. I did not want this and the Creeping Jenny meeting. This is beautiful. I just have it here until I can figure out where I want to put it, but I really love it here. Looks great in this basket. Love these beds here. Just very simple this year, which I'm okay with because sometimes I just get a bit out of control. I did have a self-seeded Sweet Pea back here. Look at that. The fact that it kept trucking along in 100-degree weather. And you know I love my grasses, so I just, oh, look at that. And so this is my first indication. So the top looks really nice. But then down below, it's dry. Oh, did you see the dust? So I'm going to have to water this. I was waiting with this bed until today to see if we got much of a rain, and it wasn't enough. This is a very dry bed. These do like it a little drier. I did get rid of the poached eggplant. They were fried. But everything else is looking really good. The Gara is really filling in nicely. I can't wait to see that bloom. Oops, there we go. Fix you. And then the Calamintha, that light purple. The Gara is looking absolutely fantastic in here. I do have, this is Echinops Platinum Blue Globe Thistle. I don't know if it's going to bloom for me this year. Most of these in here were seeds I started this season, except for the grasses. The Baptisia, I love it. It looks like a shrub. And I leave the seed pods on. I think to add something else to it. I did move the Peony from my Misfit garden. It's adjusting. It's just a holding spot. I didn't have a container big enough for the roots. Down here also, I think this is a Quickfire Fab, just starting to form its buds. Just have a daily, again, this is a holding bed till probably next year. Daylilies, my hydrangea cuttings, which look fantastic. Some dahlias that I started from seed. I love it. So there's a lot going on here, but I think it's going to look really neat going through its stages. More dahlias I started from seed. And then this back here is, I mean, look at this hydrangea cutting. That's just glorious. I think they're about 3 years old now. And then another sage, Transylvanian sage, blue cloud. This dahlia looks tough here, but I'm giving it a chance. Things just have to go through an adjustment period before they look beautiful. Yes, it's red, but they're seeds I started, so I really want to see how they progress through the season and do. Some are definitely looking a lot better than others. This one, I can't wait to see what color that's going to be. It's really dark, probably another red, I'm wondering. Cucumbers look really good. These were just plant starts I got. Eureka. Here, I'll show you the tag. They are doing really good. I think I have some little cucumbers in there. I just hope they amount to something. I've been keeping on top of the watering and fertilizing in my vegetable beds this year. Over here, these are a little shorter. I kind of went different. I went with determinate varieties. They only get to a certain size. But I have Aroma Tomato and then Mountain Fresh. So they're not going to get overly huge. I just find sometimes in my season with indeterminate, as far as the big ones, they produce a lot of fruit towards the end of the season and they never ripen. And yes, I bring them in, I put them in a brown bag, but it doesn't taste the same. There's just something about that sun that when it ripens the fruit. So, and last year the determinate varieties produced a lot better than the indeterminate. It's just kind of a short growing season, just depending on weather. I think they're doing pretty good. Pink ping pong cherry tomatoes, loved it last year, so I got 2 this year. Oops, that one, oh, they grow really quick. So, oh man, seriously, look, this is, you can see there, this is what I mean, the poached eggplant, look at that. And I've been watering this area. Loving my arch. Cup and saucer vine here, it's going to be a mauve purple color and then a cream. Hopefully later in the season. It does say it blooms later. I started them earlier in hopes they bloom before a frost. The hyacinth bean vines are looking good. Blooming, silver moon, and then a ruby moon over here. So, look at the size of this foliage down here. The fact that it's the end of June and it's covering this arch already. A zebra hollyhocks, I just kind of keep trimming on them where I don't want them to get too big. They're blooming sporadically. I like it. I'm sure they're going to seed all over and I'm okay with that. This bed is starting to fill in a little bit better with the calamintha, the white, I think it's marvelet white. And then this is just the Texas sage coral nymph. And these are a bit more long over here. The one thing I find about the Texas sage coral nymph is it can take a little less sun and still look good. See, look at these grasses just move. Love it. These were just a lot of seedlings of mine, perennials, some zinnias in here, can't wait. These get bigger. Delphiniums are kind of going over. I will just be kind of pruning away on them throughout the season and hopefully they give me a few more flowers later. And just some coleus cuttings of mine. But this one's going to be blooming here soon. I do have hollyhocks. I'm not sure if they'll bloom the first year for me. And just some more zebra holly. They're just so pretty. I didn't have the heart to pull them just because they could be blooming a bit better, but they do. They keep, if you see, being so happy with these. Really bad germination at the start, so some are a little farther along than others, but that's okay. As long as they germinated, I love green beans. Here, Valerian. Drumstick allium is kind of taking its sweet time to bloom, but I can't wait. Penstemon is, that rain really knocked off the blooms here, but I still love the foliage. This is one where when I cut the bloom heads off, it won't reflower for me. We had such high winds yesterday, so it just kept whipping this around, and then the winds. Nice thing is I can kind of turn this so I can see the prettier side. I did plant some of my lupin seedlings. Really want to see how they do next year. Look at these cucumbers. These were seeds I started Market More. These came up first before those, so wow. Can't wait. Hopefully I can do this tour over here without some angry birds. Just love. The pita is filling in a little bit better. It's been struggling since early in the season, but it's doing good. I have not replanted any in here. And then, oh. Okay, I hope it looks better than that. This is Princess Kate Clematis here, and so far that's not very impressive. I don't know. I'm not sure what I was expecting, but not... Maybe it's kind of like the ugly duckling. Love the spent flower heads of the clematis. They always stay on. Don't they kind of remind you like Dr. Seuss? So yes, I do like that. But look, I got another bud. And then there's a bloom up here. Cool. A lot of these little guys in here are just perennial seedlings I'd started in the season, so I'm not sure if they'll amount to anything, but they're still thriving, filling out really nicely. I'm hoping the lickness does something. I mean, it's beautiful. I was really hoping this would at least flower a little bit this year. And then the foxgloves, they look good, but see what happens. I haven't been watering this area. When I planted them, it was really decent. They took off. I think they look good. And then Stachy's officinalis. Love this. And then the Italian ice, oh so easy rose. So beautiful. Look at the different stages of colors. You do have to get fairly close to smell it, so it's definitely not a strong scent. When my delphiniums were blooming back here with that deep purple and that peach kind of coming through from an angle, it looked beautiful. Those two colors together, glorious. And then this is White Wands Veronica. I'd split this probably 2 or 3 years ago into 4 clumps. Looks amazing. Love my yarrow. I know rain tends to make it a little floppy, but it's still upright. Other plants are holding it up. I do like that. I love the foliage, how it softens everything. I have some family members who are not a big fan of it. But all that matters is that I love it. It's just starting down here, if you can see it coloring up. This is a bee balm. I think Balmy Rose. Can't wait. I love bee balm. It survived in this garden here, but not in the back. All of my alliums are starting to get their little heads. So cute. This is Millennium, and then I had ordered this one from Gilbert H. Wild Millennium, but you can definitely tell a difference between this is very green foliage and that's a little more silver. So it's a little different. And in here, I thought this is all grass. These are all onion seedlings, allium seedlings. Because I went to pull it, well, it smelled really good. I love the smell of onions. And this is just going to be starting here too. I can't wait. Another bee balm, and it's just taken over this. And I let it because I love bee balm that much. And I love plants that spread. I love looking through here too in the back. Probably hard to pick up on camera with the grasses. Alright, let's head to my back garden. Oh, how can I miss this? Lady's mantle looks unbelievable in rain. It does kind of batter it down, but there's always foliage pushing up in the middle. Never be without Alchemilla mollis. And then the hardy geranium is filling in nicely, Biokovo. It will not bloom again for me, but this was just one plant in here that has spread to probably about 5 feet wide. Plectranthus is doing good down here. This is just an annual that I put in some nursery pots just to hopefully spread in this area. I can't work, it's just so hard. First it was just sludge from all the water, and then now it's concrete. I think it'll work out. I have been working, and this is what I call my misfit garden. I just wasn't liking the flow of it, and I do like it a lot better. So down here I just created a drift of Nepeta, and I did widen it just a little bit. It kind of went in. Mowing was a little difficult, doing a lot of weed whipping, so I'm trying not to do so much of that, making mowing just a bit easier on myself, but I like it. I think it'll look beautiful with that purple popping through, and it'll soften that front. This is another hardy geranium. It was right in here, so I moved it over just a little bit because it can fill in this area. It will create its own little drift at one point. This garden is always, this is where I had lots of Monarda or bee balm, and the creeping Jenny, you can see, has taken over. And I did not plant this as a ground cover. It was just in a container, and it's taken over. So I've decided to go with mainly shrubs in this area and see how that works, because this is Sabaria sorbifolia sem, and it was one little shrub at one point, and it's just taken over this whole area, and I'm letting it. I think it's absolutely beautiful. It's helping me out fill in an area that's been very difficult. I do have a bird bath in there, if you can see it. I'm leaving the sedums. This year I know they'll flop, but next year every part of my gardens will be in full sun, because my trees will be coming down, unfortunately. This is a Father Gila. I think it's called Blue Cloud. I love that icy blue foliage. It is a slow grower, that's why I put it here, otherwise it gets 4 to 5 feet tall and wide. I think it's going to take its sweet time. I have an Also Easy Rose here that just loves its life. Doesn't throw a fit about anything and keeps on trucking along. Oops, whoa, too fast. I need to get in there and deadhead, and it'll get another bloom. Paprika is the name of it. And some daylilies. Daylilies just pull through anything. So eventually I might put them somewhere else, but then again, I really don't want the creeping Jenny hitching a ride with it. It is beautiful, don't get me wrong, but it is very difficult. It tends to smother the plants in here. And then here I did have some Valerian. It's just, it was so tall I couldn't walk in here. So this container, my greenhouse that I go to, has a recycling shed, and people can just drop off whatever they want for gardening. It's just a plastic pot. I thought it looks really good here, and these seedlings in here are perennial seedlings, but it's obedient plant. And they all had bloom stalks, at least the white variety, Crystal Peak, so I thought, I'll put it in here. I really want to see how they do, and I know they can be a bit of a spreader. I still have the pink ones, but they have not thrown off any spikes. They still have their, is it basal foliage, however you want to. Here is Dervilla. I think it's called Night Glow. I love it for that burgundy purple foliage. I don't mind the yellow blooms. I think this color contrast with the Father Gila will look fantastic. This only gets 2 to 3 feet tall and wide, so it'll be a perfect spot for it. The Baptisia seems to do well with the creeping Jenny. You can see it's all over down here. So this, to dig up Baptisia, no, it can stay. It's got such a taproot, it's unbelievable. They pretty much say once you plant Baptisia, you better find the perfect spot for it. Look at the size of these seed pods. They'll turn purple. I've just left this. I kind of like this in here. This is Calamintha. Again, had a lot of them. Love them. I haven't been doing any dead. I probably could deadhead, but I think it's just fine on its own. And then I planted an incredible hydrangea. I think it's going to look fantastic back here. And then have Clematis back here. The one on the right I had to tie up, so it looks a little, I don't know if you want to say thick. It's not quite as loose and airy and climbing. This is Pink Mink. This is Viticella Polish Spirit. That one's my favorite. I'll just leave the alliums back there too. They went over within like 3 days. And then this little guy here is called Little Hottie Panicle Hydrangea. I think it gets about 3 feet tall and wide. Can't wait to see how this looks because I love the growth habit on that. I love the leaves. So I think this will look really good in here. And I like it. I think it flows a lot better. It's not quite such an eyesore. I do like this container here. Just, they're so dainty, and the bees like it. But yeah, you can see, I would say the Sabaria sorbifolia stem has taken over probably about a 12-foot area. So just letting you know, if you plant it, it might like my zone just because this area is wet back here and it probably spreads a bit better, but give it room to grow. And this is a shrub too that you can pretty much hack back to probably even 6 inches in the beginning of the season. And I think I took this back to about a foot, and it's probably about 4 feet tall. But there's so much to love about this shrub. This is a Ligularia that I moved out of my Misfit garden, and I'm trying to just save it, see where I want to put it. It's doing okay. This could actually fit in a pot. The turtle head back here, again, it's like a shrub also on both sides of the bench. It's doing really good. A Rainbow's End Hosta I think looks fantastic along with the Maui Buttercups. And then down here, look at, these are all my caladiums coming up. Can't wait. They seem to be doing, I mean they're coming up, but they're doing a lot better in the ground than in containers. Valerian, it is starting to go over, so I'm going to have to come in and deadhead that. The giant fleece flower is, I thought this was a goner in the early season, and Persicaria polymorpha. And I do have another Persicaria down here. This is Painter's Palette, and I just grew it for the foliage. It does bloom later in the season. Very, very dainty red flowers. They're pretty, but the foliage is the best part of it. But it does self-seed. I didn't think I was going to get a bloom stalk on this to still be, and that was all of it. Sorry. I didn't think I was going to get a bloom stalk, but look, there it is. Kind of got tongue-tied there. And then Pagoda Dogwood, Golden Shadows. Starting to form berries. So cool. The birds love it. More Lady's Mantle, Alchemilla mollis. This is a beautiful hosta. This is Golden Tiara, and I just think it's amazing to cover the ground when you think about how big that's gotten. I deadheaded all my Clematis. The grassy texture in here is Siberian irises. Only one bloomed, but I think the beginning of the season was just so hard on a lot of plants. And over here, I moved my Melting Fire coral bells. I had Chocolate Shogun to still be here, and it just was struggling, so I went with this. A viewer gave me the idea, so this makes more sense, and I think it's beautiful in here. I thought this hosta was gone, so I put the pot here because it looked tough, but it's coming back pretty good. This is supposed to be Maui Buttercups. It was just really tough looking at the start. Tiny wine vine bark. It will get bigger. This is its first full year in the ground. Honeysuckle over here is blooming a little bit at the bottom. It will bloom throughout the season, but those 100-degree temps and the winds just knocked off all of the blooms so quick, and I was expecting that. Conical grasses look really good. They're kind of getting taken over by, this is another Golden Tiara, and I have a lot of them in my garden just because they fill in a space really quickly. I think it looks good here. I know it's kind of getting eaten up by this one right here, which also is really good at filling in a space. I don't know the variety of that hosta. I think everything's doing really good. The weather the last few days have been just so nice to work in. Got a lot of weeding done. Just nice to be outside. Just a nice break. I think it's time for me to put my umbrella up and sit back there and enjoy the morning. So hopefully you enjoyed my cottage garden backyard tour. A little slower, a little more on a larger scale so you can kind of see the gardens. I do so many close-ups, I forget to just kind of step back and show you. Alright, so hopefully you enjoyed and bye for now.